Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shane Silva.
I'm Stephanie Lazarus. Before we head into the news in detail, here's a look at the headlines.
Controversial water supply project in Rajanganir suspended. MP Ravi Karnanayaka says the UNP is being destroyed by a small group. More issues in the construction of the LNG terminal in Keravalapitia. Dialysis unit at the Tambuttegama Base Hospital not made use of.
Several constructions that took place under the program to develop infrastructure facilities in schools across Polonnaruwa were declared open by President today.
The President declared open a new building at the Giritale Settlement Primary School in Polonnaruwa today. 6 million rupees of the revived Polonnaruwa District Development Program was allocated for this project. The President also declared open the new two-storied classroom building in the Hinguragoda Yoda Ala Mahavidyalaya in Polonnaruwa. The construction was completed at a cost of 11.45 million rupees under the revived Polonnaruwa District Development Program. The workforce for the construction was provided by the Sri Lankan Air Force. If you take the Polonnaruwa district as a whole, all farming communities living in the settlements across the Parakrama Samudra, Giritale, Minneria and Kaudulla faced one major issue, and that is related to water. Many lives were lost because of that. We are aware of the issues faced by officials when it came to the distribution of water. Some officials had to pay the price for it with their lives. When inquiring into the matter, there were conflicts between villages. Today I wish to announce the water issue that dates back to more than 60 years will be put to an end this year.
Anuradhapura District Secretary R.M. Vanninayaka says the proposed water supply project using the water from the Rajanganir reservoir will be stopped temporarily.
It was exactly a month ago farmers began to protest the proposed water supply project, which is expected to supply water from the Rajanganir reservoir to 5 major urban cities. We are not saying don't provide water. Please select a better place for that, not opposing the supply of water. Yesterday, the farmers obstructed roads in Tambuttegama, and when the situation turned violent, police were forced to fire tear gas and water cannons. 59 people were arrested and 57 of them were remanded by the Tambuttegama magistrate until the 5th of March. The National Police Commission says it has called for a report from the DIG in charge of Anuradhapura over the use of tear gas and water cannons. Commission Secretary Arya Dasakure said the situation that led to farmers hurling projectiles at the police and police being compelled to use force will be looked into. Anuradhapura District Secretary R.M. Vanninayaka says the proposed water supply project will be stopped temporarily and no decision has been made to provide water to an overseas entity. He pointed out the project was approved by Cabinet in 2011 under the former administration. Speaking to News First, the project engineers said around 1,500 acre-feet of water was to be obtained monthly under the project. He went on to say farmers will not face any water shortage except during a drought. Joint convener of the All Ceylon Peasants Federation, Namal Karunaratne, visited the Anuradhapura open air prison to inquire into the well-being of the 57 people who were remanded.
The Rajanganir reservoir only holds 86,500 acre-feet of water. The previous harvest season was not cultivated. One harvest season was cultivated under the Bethma system. There is no project that brings water to the Rajanganir reservoir. The spill water of the Kalawaba flows to this reservoir. The Valpalla water flows here. Other than that, there is no definite source of water. More than 22,000 acres are being cultivated from the water of the Rajanganir reservoir. The farmers demand that if this amount of water is being taken, to give them an alternative to provide this water to the Rajanganir reservoir. If not, the government must take responsibility for the damage caused to the farmlands.
වැරදි කරන කිසි කෙනෙක් මම රකින්න ලෑස්ති නැහැ. වෙන කණ්ඩායමක් ආවොත් මේ නිදහස නැති වෙනවා.
අද ඩොලරය 159යි.
මේගොල්ලෝ සුදු කරපටි මංකොලකාරී.
මම ඇමරිකානු පුරවැසියෙක්.
Former Finance Minister Ravi Karnanayaka says that a small group of people who have no voter base are taking action to destroy the United National Party. He expressed these views during an event held in Colombo today.
This is a time when the party faithful are being forgotten. After coming into power, they forget all about the members of the party. Sometimes they forget who is in their own house and begin lusting for someone from outside. We have always said we need to create a radical change in the party. A reform is absolutely necessary. This was the need for a long time. We need to clean the house. If we were able to accomplish what we promised, then it would have been good for the country. They only attack the people who speak. They discard those with experience. They try to engage in politics through nepotism. Our backbenchers have performed very well, but they are shunned aside. They are not allowed to come forward. There are one or two people at the top who are ruining the party. These are people who come from the national list and have no idea of politics. Look at what has happened to me, the Marapana committee. These are people who can never win an election, yet they are put into these committees. There are a lot of useless politicians who have crept into the UNP. They are the people who think that if you dress well and act like a professor, you can win an election. These are the people destroying the party. We need to fix this party.
UNP party leaders claim that since Ranil Wickremesinghe came into power, party seniors and young politicians who win by great margins in elections have not been getting their due positions.
Ranil
Wickremesinghe is not a person who gives opportunities to talented people. Take Buddhika Pathirana as an example. He was elected to parliament on 2 occasions. Has the UNP leader done anything to acknowledge his victories? No, Sagala Ratnayaka is from the same district. When Buddhika won his first term in office, Sagala was defeated. He lost his electorate. Buddhika won for a second time and increased his votes, but when the government was established, the ministerial position went to Sagala. The people in Ranil's club can get whatever ministries and luxuries they want. This is how he is taking this party forward. When the party seniors began to understand his actions and that it will not lead to election victories, they began to voice their opinions and oppose him. What he does do slowly moves them to the delete list. He brings up the first-time parliamentarians. Those fresh politicians think that Ranil Wickremesinghe is a great person. If they are invited to his house for tea, it's similar to going to heaven and meeting God for them. They work for him for a year or two before they begin to realize the facade that he is putting up. Then they too begin to oppose him. As this opposition rises, another election comes along and with it a fresh batch of politicians. So the cycle continues. This is how he misleads the party, puts the party supporters in jeopardy and hangs on to the leadership like a demon. If the UNP wants to be victorious, all they need to do is get rid of the party leader. Who is Buddhika Pathirana? Buddhika Pathirana is a UNP politician who contested for parliament on 2 occasions and emerged as the candidate with the most amount of votes from the Mathura district on both occasions. However, to date he remains as an ordinary parliamentarian. During the 2004 and 2009 provincial council elections, Buddhika Pathirana emerged as a candidate with the most percentage of votes. During his first general election in 2010 under the UNP, he polled a total of 62,499 preferential votes and emerged as the first in the district. In 2015, Buddhika Pathirana's voter base increased as he polled 98,815 preferential votes and became first once again. In comparison, current Minister of Youth Affairs and Southern Development Sagala Ratnayaka only polled 85,772 preferential votes. Isn't the United National Party now suffering from the ill effects of ignoring the public mandate and not giving young leaders from within the party their due place? UNP seniors note that the arbitrary actions of the party leadership has led to its current position. Buddhika Pathirana is just one example out of many. We will take steps in the coming days to reveal such young talented leaders within the party who have been ignored.
Ranil Wickremesinghe wouldn't be the Prime Minister if it wasn't for me. Whenever he gets power, he acts like a dictator. When he loses power, he doesn't act like it. There were plenty of chances for him to rectify his mistakes. He has lost these chances. Staunch leaders like Nanda Matthew, Vijay Pala Mendis and a lot more people moved away from us. When Dasiri Jayasekara was leaving, he asked me to give a reason to remain in the party. I know the path that Suranimala Rajapaksa was in when he passed away. Suranimala Rajapaksa was someone who worked with Ranil when he first entered politics. He is someone that helped him. There are a few issues. The first is that he disregarded the people that helped him to come to power. This is true from the party rank and file to its top members. People like former General Secretary Sirisena Kure did a lot of work to make Ranil Wickremesinghe the leader of the party, especially during the aftermath of the chaos caused by President Premadasa's death. There was a call by the party faithful to bring back Sirisena Kure, but he wasn't given a single chance. I know this personally.
නැවත එකතු කරගෙන මේ ගමන යමු කියලා. හැබැයි ඔහුට කිසිම අවස්ථාවක් ලබා දුන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක මම පුජ්‍යලිකව දන්නවා.
The Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna convened a press conference in Colombo today.
ඒ ජයග්‍රහණයෙන් පස්සේ පවත්වන පළවෙනි ඓතිහාසික රැළිය
The people of this country took back the mandate they gave on the 8th of January. So the whole country is demanding that this Prime Minister go home, this government go home, and a new government be appointed. So we are taking the people back onto the streets to demand that they resign immediately.
වහාම ඉල්ලාස් වෙලා ගෙදර යන්න කියලා.
මුද්දරේට සීල් එකක් වැදුනොත්
If a seal falls across
මුද්දරේ
stamp,
වටිනාකම
the value
දෙලින්
of the
එහාට
stamp is lost.
දැන් මේ ආණ්ඩුවත්
This
හරියට
government is like a stamp that
සීල්
has
එක
been
ගහපු
sealed.
මුද්දරයක්.
What did this government
හැබැයි මේ
use to
ආණ්ඩුව
come into
බලයට
power?
පත්
They
වෙන්න
said
මොනවද
that the
පාවිච්චි
people
කරන්නේ?
of
රතු පස්වල
Pakistan were
මිනිස්සුන්ට
assaulted when
වතුර
they came
ඉල්ලනකොට ගැහුවා
requesting
කියලා
water.
ඒවා
But what are
පාවිච්චි
they
කරලා
doing
තමයි
now?
මේ ආණ්ඩුව
They're
බලයට
entering
පත්.
innocent farmers,
දැන් මේ
taking them
ආණ්ඩුව
into police
හැසිරෙන්නේ
stations and treating
අහිංසක
them
මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ඔලු
inhumanly.
පළලා
Now who have they
පොලිසිය
handed over
ඇතුළට
the
ගිහලා
police to?
පොලිසිය
Prime
ඇතුළේ
Minister
දිගාලා
Ranil Wickremesinghe. Very soon they should hand him over to the
අමානුෂික
police in
විදියට
relation to the central bank
තමයි මේ
bond
අහිංසක
issue.
ගොවි
But
ජනතාව.
instead they handed the
දැන්
police
කාටද
over to him. Now the
පොලිසිය
struggle
බාර
to
දීලා
remove the
තියෙන්නේ?
UNP
රනිල්
leader has
වික්‍රමසිංහ
begun
අගමැතිතුමාට
internally.
පොලිසිය
It is
බාර
no
දෙනවා.
easy
මහා
task
වැදුම්කර
removing
වංචාව
Ranil
සම්බන්ධයෙන්
Wickremesinghe, who has lost
රනිල්
on 30
වික්‍රමසිංහ
occasions.
අගමැතිතුමා
It is a
ඉතා
very
ඉක්මනට
daunting
පොලිසියට
task.
බාර
So
දෙනවා.
we asked the Yahapalana
හැබැයි ඒක
government
නෙමෙයි
to get
කිරුවේ.
ready because
පොලිසිය
it's
බාර
time to
දුන්න
go
අගමැති. සා යහපාලන ආණ්ඩුවට කියනවා දැන් ගෙදර යන්න කාලේ හරි ඒකට ලෑස්ති වෙන්න.
එහිදී තම සාමකාමී උද්ඝෝෂණයක් ගොවියෝ ආරම්භ කරේ. රජය
The farmers started a
තාම
very peaceful
ලැජ්ජාසහගත
protest. Then the
විදිහට
government
පොලිසිය
assaulted the
යොදවලා
protesters using the
ජනතාවට
police.
පහර දුන්නා.
We have
අපිට
concerns
සැකයි.
here as to
මෙතන
whether it was
පොලිසියම
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa is currently in India. He has offered prayers at the famous hill shrine of Lord Venkateshwara in Tirumala.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa had visited the Tirupati temple in 2014 before the presidential election. When journalists questioned the former president on the Hambantota port being leased out to the Chinese, he has reprimanded the government for doing so and had noted that his government had an explicit anti-privatization policy. Speaking about issues related to Indian fishermen poaching in Sri Lankan waters, the former president had said that the country was working towards a solution that will be agreeable to all the countries concerned. The former president Mahinda Rajapaksa is accompanied by parliamentarian Lohan Ratwatta and former parliamentarian Udit Lokubandara.
The defeated president visited China. Now he has gone to India. What does he go and say there? He says, during my regime, there was no privatization. I never sold any of this valuable property to anybody. I don't know whether he is talking to his sense, because the whole country knows that he sold out the whole country. He sold the sea. He sold Golface. He sold Shangri-La. After selling all this, this government came and at least they put a long lease and said nothing doing, no outright purchase. But I simply don't understand what Mahinda talks at times and in different countries. I don't know whether people are trying to hoodwink the people by trying to say, I never sold anything. We all know what Mahinda Rajapaksa had been doing, and Mahinda Rajapaksa is the first person to rob central bank. He taught the UNP also how to rob, and they are continuing. That is why both these parties are hand in glove and not doing anything to protect the country or to do the right thing. That is why Mr. Wickremesinghe himself is protecting the Rajapaksa family from being arrested.
Buddhists across the world mark Madin Full Moon Poya Day today. According to Buddhist scripture, it was on Madin Full Moon Poya Day, the Enlightened One, along with a retinue of about 20,000 disciples, trekked to Kimbulwatpura to meet King Suddhodana. Buddhists in Sri Lanka consider Madin Poya as Siripa Poya, while many refer to this day as when Buddhists were taught the virtue of gratitude. It is said King Suddhodana was afflicted with a great desire to see Gautama Buddha and dispatched emissaries after emissaries under the leadership of his ministers, pleading with the Buddha to visit Kimbulwatpura. These groups of emissaries, however, did not return, having become disciples of the Buddha. According to the Buddhist chronicles, the king then dispatched his minister Kaludai to invite the Buddha, but he too became a disciple of the Buddha. However, the Buddha had accepted the invitation and made a visit to Kimbulwatpura. In order to counter the pride of the Sakya clan, Buddha rose up to the sky and displayed a twin-fold miracle, the Yama Mahaperahara. Today a special puja took place at the Buddha statue placed at the Shakya Malakya opposite the head office of the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited. A subsidiary of the Capital Maharaja Organisation Limited, Kevilton Electrical Products Private Limited supported this event. CEO of Kevilton Electrical Products Private Limited, Alinil De Silva, was among those present. Venerable Galaboda Gnani Saratero, speaking during the Poya Day broadcast on Sirius TV this morning, made the following comments.
I will make special thanks to him. He loves us dearly. During Vesak, he sets up the most beautiful Vesak zone in Braybrook Street. He also invited me for the Christmas zone. I also wish to request him to have a separate event for the Muslims and Hindus as well. The Seema Malakya was constructed by a Muslim person who comes from the Musaji family.
Permit me to make comments, Venerable Tero. Since last year, we have been hosting the Adivel ceremony for our Hindu brethren. We placed the Velayuda of the Katuragama gods in the Sirasa head office premises.
The greatest deed you are committing is Gammadda. The country needs a separate minister for this. The MPs and ministers must take notes from Sivasa and note down the shortcomings that are being highlighted. If they had done so and addressed the shortcomings, the elections would not have given us such a result. If the matters highlighted by organizations like the Capital Maharaja Organization were done in a week at grassroots level, no one needs to be reprimanded.
Decision has been reached to enter into a trilateral MOU between Sri Lanka, India and Japan on establishing a liquid natural gas terminal and floating natural gas terminal in Kerawalapitia. Recently, Cabinet had approved the signing of the MOU.
Kerawalapitia Pradeshe Vayu Paryanta Dekak Pihituvimatat
MOU signed with the governments of India and Japan for 2 gas terminals in Kerawalapitia for power generation and infrastructure for gas distribution. Following a primary study, the respective parties will sign the agreement to commence the proposed joint venture with India and Japan, and Sri Lanka Gas Terminals Limited will be vested with the power to enter into those agreements. Cabinet approved the joint proposal presented by Development Strategies and International Trade Minister Malik Samaravikrama and Ports and Shipping Minister Mahinda Samarasinghe.
වරායහා නාවික කටයුතු අමාත්‍ය මහින්ද සමරසිංහ මැතිතුමා ඉදිරිපත් කරපු ඒකාබද්ධ යෝජනාව අමාත්‍ය මණ්ඩලය අනුමත කළා.
The shareholding of the joint venture has been classified as a Sri Lanka Gas Terminal Limited will have a stake of 15%. Petronet LNG Limited of India will have a 47.5% and the remaining 37.5% will be for Sojitz Corporation and Mitsubishi Company of Japan. Sri Lanka Gas Terminal Limited is vested with the power of entering into agreements with India and Japan for the joint venture.
After this plant is set up, the government will have a 15% claim. But we will have to purchase gas at a higher cost. This is where the matter is heading to. Australia, which has the largest natural gas plant, does not generate large amounts of electricity using this system. However, as the commission becomes greater for the government, they will resort to all measures to launch these gas plants and burden the people even more. When the government was elected, they boasted unsolicited projects will not be allowed. What have they started now? Just as they granted the Kandy Road project, these projects are given to joint ventures selected by the government. If there is a tender process, the cost can be reduced. Rather than doing so, they are once again burdening the people without calling for competitive tenders. They promised to stop it, but they are heading in that very path. Though the people hope for something new, the government is taking the same old path. We express our displeasure over the government's policy on this matter. When projects are launched without calling for tenders, the people will have to carry that burden.
අප්‍රසාදය පළ කරනවා. මොකද ටෙන්ඩර් නොදා මේවා දුන්නාම මේවට බර ගෙවන්නේ මේ රටේ මිනිස්සු.
දැන් ඉන්දියාව බැලන්ස් කරන්න චීනට දෙනවා. චීන බැලන්ස් කරන්න.
To balance out India, they provide projects to China, and to balance out China, they provide projects to Japan. They are moving these projects to satisfy other countries. This is a game played among a group of friends. They never work with the intention of doing something better for the country. It is clear all these projects are launched to please certain people. Theft was committed during the previous administration and is taking place under this administration. They are all rogues, and rogues are always winning.
Let's now take a look again at that story on the press conference that was convened by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna.
The people of this country took back the mandate they gave on the 8th of January. So the whole country is demanding that this Prime Minister go home, this government go home, and a new government be appointed. So we are taking the people back onto the streets to demand that they resign immediately.
If a seal falls across stamp, the value of the stamp is lost. This government is like a stamp that has been sealed. What did this government use to come into power? They said that the people of Ratupasala were assaulted when they came requesting for water. But what are they doing now? They are injuring innocent farmers, taking them into police stations and treating them inhumanely. Now who have they handed over the police to? Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. Very soon they should hand him over to the police in relation to the central bank bond issue. But instead they handed the police over to him. Now the struggle to remove the UNP leader has begun internally. It is no easy task removing Ranil Wickremesinghe, who has lost on 30 occasions. It is a very daunting task. So we ask the Yahapalana government, get ready because it's time to go home.
දැන් ගෙදර යන්න කාලේ හරි ඒකට ලෑස්ති වෙන්න.
එහිදී තම සාමකාමී උද්ඝෝෂණයක් ගොවියෝ ආරම්භ කරේ.
The farmers started a very peaceful protest. Then the government assaulted the protesters using the police. We have concerns here as to whether it was the police who were assaulting the people, as we saw people in civil also attacking civilians. We saw the police going after people with poles too.
ඒගොල්ලෝ බීමට වතුර ඉල්ලුවා යන ප්‍රහාර ටැංකි තිබ්බා පැටන් පොළු තිබ්බා අවසානට වෙඩිත් තිබ්බා
මෙතන වෙඩි තිබ්බට වඩා එහා ගියපු දෙයක් වෙලා තියෙනවා.
What has gone on here is beyond the shooting. We saw them attack the thousands that were gathered with the baton poles and stones. We even saw that people were hospitalized. This government is in tatters. Maybe this is why the Prime Minister took on law and order portfolio. There is now a situation where the government is seeking revenge from the people because of the election defeat. The Prime Minister has to be held responsible. Everything will be revealed if we catch Mahendran. The Prime Minister is safe only if the central bank governor is not found. That is a plan. We will definitely support a no-confidence motion against the Prime Minister. We are certain that many powerful members of the United National Party will also sign the motion. Already there are people who are signing it.
The dialysis unit at the Tambutegama Base Hospital has gone into ruin and it has not been made use of. Hospital staff claim absence of a proper electricity supply and a lack of officers to operate the units has led to this situation.
The dialysis unit was set up at the Tambutegama Base Hospital as it was a critical need for the people living in Tambutegama and surrounding areas. It was declared open by Dr. Rajitha Senaratne, the Minister of Health himself, on the 6th of August last year. Since then, not a single dialysis procedure has been followed at the hospital. We had high hopes when this unit was declared open. However, now we are compelled to travel to Anuradhapura, which is something very difficult. When you look at the economic issues we face, we are in great distress. My father is a labourer for 9 years and it is impossible for us to survive. It will be a great deed if the dialysis unit at the Tambutegama Hospital is repaired and made use of.
ඉතින් ළඟ තැනක් තිබුණා නම් වඩා හොඳයි Tambutegama වගේ. මොකද එතකොට අපිට එයාට අපහසු ගිහිල්ලා එනකොට මොකද 115ක් වගේ තමයි වක්ගොඩ ප්‍රතිශතයක් තියෙන්නේ.
මේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් අපි
We have discussed the matter with the Director of Health Services of the North Central Province and implemented a program. The CEB has taken measures to increase the supply of electricity to us. However, there is an issue whether that supply would be sufficient for the operations. We also face issues in personnel. That needs to be resolved. For this unit to function, we require at least 4 doctors, 8 nursing staff and other support staff. We have not been given the required personnel for this. We hope that when new appointments are made, the respective grade officers will report to this hospital.
President's Counsel Salia Peris has been appointed as chairman of the Office of Missing Persons.
President Maithripala Sirisena handed over the appointment letters to the Commissioners of the Office of Missing Persons, or the OMP, at the Presidential Secretariat yesterday. The OMP law was passed in Parliament in August 2016 and will now be operational. The OMP is tasked with determining the status of all missing persons in Sri Lanka and is the first pillar of the transitional justice mechanisms under design and implementation. The commissioners were appointed for a 3-year period, and our President's Counsel Salia Piris functioning as the chairman of the OMP. The other members include Jayathi Papunyamurthy, retired Major General Mohanty Antoinette Piris, Dr. Shriyani Nimalka Fernando, Mirak Rahim, Somasiri K. Lianage, and Kanapati Pillai Ventan. President's Counsel Salia Piris practices in the areas of criminal law, public law, and fundamental rights in the appellate courts. He was Deputy President of the Bar Association of Sri Lanka from 2015 to 2017. Sri Lanka's national budget for 2018 also made an allocation of 1.3 billion rupees to establish the OMP. The commissioners were selected in an open and competitive process conducted by the Constitutional Council of Sri Lanka and were nominated by them for appointment to the President. The OMP will be an independent body reporting to Sri Lanka's parliament and is expected to bring a degree of closure to surviving family members of Sri Lanka's internal conflicts and will set the stage for sustainable reparations for victims and their families.
How will the 2018 cabinet reshuffle affect the country?
The question is, has the government delivered the change expected by the people?
Stay tuned to News First. Hot seat follows right after the news with a discussion on the current political crisis in the country with UPFA parliamentarian Dinesh Gunawardena.
But before we wrap up tonight's news, here's a look at tonight's illustrated news by cartoonist Asanka Laduahetty. That's a wrap of Primetime News. I'm Stephanie Lazarus.
And I'm Shren Silva. Take care and good night.